This is another example. The Personnel Office of Babcock University is assigned the task of computing the monthly emolument of all categories of employees of the institution. The employee taxation is based on the following constraints. If basic salary is less than or equal to 5,000 naira, 5% is deducted as tax, otherwise 8%. 10% as contributory pension scheme. Employee pay slip must include employee number, name, total allowance, tax, basic salary, gross pay, and net pay. So this one is about computing a monthly emolument for each staff in the university. So, and we have seen the constraints that we have there. So from here now, we are going to look into this particular problem. We want to give each employee a pay slip at the end of the day. And there are things that must appear on that pay slip, and they are already stated here. But from the question, there are things that we can see that has been given to us in order to be able to have the pay slip at the end of the day. So from the question, we discovered that there is a way they compute tax, and there is a way they compute tax. There is a way they look at that we already know that we are going to also compute total allowance, and we are also going to compute gross pay, and we are going to compute net pay. So total allowance, tax, gross pay, net pay, they are not clearly stated. What I mean is that you need to do a kind of computation before you can get them. So if there is a particular data that you need to compute before you can get, that thing is no more an input data. It is something that you need to process. So for you to know total allowance, you must know all the allowances that a staff is entitled to get. So you will add them together to know the total allowance. Then you will do the tax deduction. You will now get the gross pay, and you also get the net pay. So now we want to look at what are the input data. So input data, we have the basic salary. Then we are going to list all the allowances, something like housing allowance, wardrobe allowance, transport allowance, health allowance, book allowance, travel allowance, so as many allowances as possible that we have. Then we are going to put the employee number. The employee number should even come first before the basic salary. The employee name first. Employee name. Employee number. So basic salary and all the allowances. So these ones, they are basic, as in you don't need to compute anything before you get them. So they are the input data. So the output data, which should be actually the pay slip, that's what we will have at the end of the day. At the end of the day, we are going to have pay slip. So this pay slip must contain some things. So what we are going to have on the pay slip, we are going to have the employee name, employee number. We are going to have the total allowance. We are going to have the gross pay. We are going to have the tax. Somebody must know the tax he or she is paying. We are going to have the pension, the contributory pension deduction. Then we are going to have the gross pay. And we are going to have the net pay. So all these things must be clearly stated on the pay slip. Also, now, what are the processing requirements? It has been clearly stated here that for us to know the basic salary, and for us to know the tax, then we are going to consider the basic salary. If basic salary if it is less than or equal to 5,000 naira, so the tax the person will pay will be equals to 5% of that basic salary. So 5% of whatsoever the basic salary is. But if it is more, so otherwise, it will be, tax will be 8%. So if somebody is earning 5,001 naira as basic salary, so it has turned to 8%. That will be the tax, 8% of basic salary. So anything greater than 5,000 naira, it is 8% deduction. So that's the first processing requirement. So the second one is that we are going to do the total allowance as well. So we write total allowance. So total allowance is equal to all the allowances that we have up here. We are going to add all of them together. Housing, wardrobe, transport, health, book, travel. Okay, since traveling allowance. So we are going to add everything. Housing plus book plus wardrobe plus traveling plus transportation allowance. So plus you had everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many do we have up there? Health. It remains health. Transport allowance. Plus health. So adding everything together will give us the total allowance. So now the contributory pension too. You can even do it this way. You can pack everything together, like you can group them. We have things that we want to deduct, deductions. This one we are talking, the tax is a deduction, but the one of total allowance is not a deduction. So another deduction that we have is pension. So pension equals 10% of 10% of 10% of gross pay. 10% of gross pay. 10% of gross pay, that is our pension. 10% of gross pay. So, but what about, those are the things we are going to deduct. Now, if you want to know the gross pay now, how we are going to know the gross pay is that gross pay equals basic salary plus total allowance. We are going to add this one together. Basic salary and total allowance, we are going to add them together. Then here, our deduction. You can write it like this, that our deduction is equal to tax plus pension. Okay, we are going to deduct that, but we are going to deduct pension after we know our gross pay. So gross pay is equal to basic salary plus total allowance minus tax minus. So that is our gross pay. So now, for our pension is 10% of gross pay. So that will be our pension. So that means that the pay that the person will get at the end of the day, you are going to deduct pension from gross pay. So that is the net pay. So you can see the way it has been structured. So you first of all look for all the deduction, 5% of basic salary, then pension is 10% of gross pay. But that gross pay, you cannot know it until you add total allowance to basic salary. Then you are going to remove tax. So when you remove tax, whatsoever it gives you is the gross pay. So your gross pay now, you are going to remove pension from it. That is the net pay. So maybe we should now rearrange it this way. We should let it be like this. So after your tax, the next thing we should even be, okay, after your tax, the next thing you should compute should be your total allowance. So after your tax, then the next thing should be your total allowance. Then you'll be able to get your gross pay. Then you'll be able to get your net pay. Then you'll be able to get, so for you to get your pension, you will also compute, first of all, compute gross pension is equal to 10% of gross pay. So that is how they will follow each other sequentially. So for your processing requirements now, you will think of your tax, you will compute tax, then you compute the total allowance, then you compute your gross pay, basic salary plus allowance minus tax. Then you compute your pension, which is 10% of gross pay. Then you find your net pay, which is gross pay minus pension. So so the third one, okay, we are actually through. We have done the processing requirements, we have done the output data, and we have done the input data. So you can see that it is very simple.